when I was a child, we used to shout up the stairs whenever there was a black person on television. Certainly since those days, we've come a long way in terms of on-screen portrayal. I think Casualty, Holby, EastEnders, Doctors, all have pretty accurate sort of portrayal of the various minorities that you'd find around the UK.
10 years ago, Mel Young introduced diversity quotas into the programmes. He did it for one very simple reason. He realised that the future success of these programmes lay on an accurate reflection of the diversity makeup of Great Britain.
Look around you, right? That's the world that we live in. You can't create a different world for television. You can't say, well, actually, there's another place where we film everything. You know, it's in the Cotswolds somewhere, and it's all white, and it's all kind of white picket fences. It's not like that.
I think diversity scares industry people simply because it's hassle. It's a hassle to have to deal with it.
If we stop thinking of the word diversity, in fact, if we eradicate the word diversity and start thinking of it as marketing, if you think about it in terms of bringing in a new audience, growing your audience, actively engaging with your audience, then I think we'd be much better at it.
There are two options when faced with diversity. You can embrace it head on and possibly get into trouble, or you can run away and not tackle it at all. And I think across telly, that has tended to be a default option.
Can I buy you some drinks?
Yeah, man.
For a bit of luck, yeah?
Cheers, Gus, yeah. Cheers.
I think the most spectacular failure of EastEnders is the Ferreiras.
Wake up, Ronnie. I mean, this is as good as it's going to get. You know what part of me actually agrees with him?
Because they didn't want to create any controversy, they didn't make them Muslim, they didn't make them Hindu, they made them Goan Christians.
You all right, lads?
Now, Goan Christians, they rarely emigrate to this country, so you don't use them to associate the British Asian person.
For Pete's sake!
The Ferreira family were a really interesting example, and I think they get unfairly blamed for a lot of things, because actually they were a cast of very good actors. I think the show was very nervous about Islam. It was post 9/11, and there were all kinds of fears about how do we portray these people realistically.
The lesson that I learned from the Ferreiras was that whoever you bring in absolutely has to work in their own terms as a character, whatever their ethnicity or background. They have to be an interesting, engaging, universal character. And secondly, I observed that it's a mistake to try and play it safe.
I just thought we might have a little talk.
We transmitted an episode which became known as the all-black episode because it featured only black characters.
I just don't like people making assumptions, that's all.
It was very interesting, the debate that then unfolded. There was a poll in the Daily Star where 85% of their readership felt that apparently it was racist of us against white people.
Your history.
What am I supposed to be looking at?
The West Indian immigrant experience. Now, the plan was, if it can be dignified with such a word, was to drive us all back to where we had come from.
Us?
Yeah, us.
We were genuinely surprised by the fuss it created, because it was a very natural thing for the show to do. I think the Times attacked us for being cowardly. The Guardian attacked us for being a GCSE history lesson. And you suddenly realise, I mean, this is what multiculturalism means. It's like, you know, it unleashes a hornet's nest of insecurity.
In the end, I'm really proud of the episode. It was an interesting episode. It drilled down into who those characters are. It tested them. It gave those actors something fantastic to get their teeth into. And the fact that we got flack for it, I think it's to be expected, but I think it's a bit sad.
Ah, my new neighbour.
We sat down and said, what does this show really need? And what it clearly, really badly needed was a big Muslim family.
Excuse me. Go a bit out, please. Now, Ethel's coming. I want you to give her all a really big welcome.
We were starting to look hideously white, which is absurd, given our pedigree. And so we mapped out a plan, and the plan was that in 3 years' time, that family would be the centre of Albert Square.
Can't be easy pulling your family back from the brink, especially now there's a new addition.
So is the room laid out to your satisfaction, Auntie?
It'll look even better when it's finished.
I think partly because EastEnders had been so burnt by the Ferrera experience. We never press released it. We never said that Asians are coming. We, first of all, cast Nina Wadia as Zainab, and we created a character that played to her strengths and would be really interesting and funny and frustrating. A classic EastEnders matriarch.
Now, tea, 2 sugars, plenty of milk.
And then one by one, we brought the rest of the family in.
Can I get you some squash, Tamar?
No thanks, Mrs. Wicks, I'm fasting. Besides, too many numbers.
Don't you feel safer knowing I'm not letting any Tom, Dick or Hassan have your post? It's been a long time coming, and it demystifies Islam. It demystifies Asians.
Allahu Akbar.
The Masoods have gone from strength to strength. So Saeed is our young Muslim homosexual at the heart of things who has fallen in love with Christian.
I want you to be true to yourself.
True to myself. You make it sound as if being attracted to men is the only part of me that matters. Yes, I'm gay. There, I've said it.
When you have people with strict boundaries, which you often get with religion and with culture, it creates these massive high-stakes stories, and that's exciting, and that's culture being done well.
Remember what it's like when it's just you. Me.
It's never just you and me, though, is it? God will always know.
I would argue that having gay Muslims on EastEnders has done more to bring the issues of sexuality and Muslims, and gay Muslims in particular, to audiences of 10, 12 million. You'd have to do 5 or 6 panoramas just to do that. The power of EastEnders and continuing drama is that they engage the heart and the mind, and that's where you get real change.
I think a sign of the confidence of EastEnders was the New Year episode, which was the wedding, with Saeed arriving on a horse, the dancers. I think it was joyous, it was brilliant. And at the same time, culturally spot on, and I wanted to be at that wedding.
We're in England now, sunshine.
I believe the TV industry is dominated by white middle class and still in positions of power, mainly men. We are starting to see pretty significant numbers of black and Asian people moving into the workforce, but as you go further and further up the ladder, it becomes more male, more white, more Oxbridge, more middle class.
I would like to see not just the characters on screen, but also when I'm looking at the credits to see a broader range of names that suggest that people from different backgrounds, so that when I'm walking into meetings as well, I don't feel like I'm the one face in the room that kind of stands out like a sore thumb.
It's very true that the current CDS workforce doesn't represent the changing face of Britain. That's a lot to do with the product of the education system, it's a lot to do with the way we recruit people, it's a lot to do with cultural expectation.
Had some success so far, but then I might look at the experience of somebody who is a white male writer and the comparison's disproportionate.
Action.
It long puzzled me why our off-screen diversity record was nowhere near as good as our on-air thing, and so last year I set about with Deborah exploring exactly why this was and what we were going to do about it.
It's workshops, it's getting the message out there, cultural advisors, training grounds, but also the writers or producers or directors are nurtured rather than dropped off when they fail.
We have to make sure that on screen and off we fully reflect the diverse makeup of the UK. You know, that's the mission, and the more we have that off screen, the better it will be on screen.
E20 came about when I wanted to show that there were different worlds of Wolford. And then we came upon the idea of bringing some other writers into our continuing shows. If we're telling stories about diverse young Londoners, get diverse young Londoners to write it.
I think it can be done really badly. I know if I was watching it, I'd be like, step up, and you would hope it wouldn't be like that.
No, it probably wouldn't end up like that.
It would.
Beautiful. Innit? Okay, great.
We got 50% minority applications and ended up with just under 50% minority participants. And we found, I think, 13 exceptional young people.
It was just like, whoa, because obviously you got the BBC, and as a stake in soaps, that's the biggest thing pretty much going. It's like a household name. You realise it's a massive thing you're being part of.
The first question I asked the E20 lot was, what do you think of EastEnders? Tell me all the things you hate about it.
I'm from the East End, and I don't ever watch it and go, I know someone like that, because I don't know anyone like that. I think it's nice that you've got this fusion of culture, but I don't feel that that's represented in EastEnders. They would need to just start trying to put more different ethnicities in, and then just letting them live their lives and have their own sort of storylines, and referencing little things about their cultures that they have, but it not being made into such a massive deal.
A day later, when they'd finished listing all the things I hated, there's OK, now make the show you want to watch. And they did.
We've got Fat Boy and Mercy, and to a lesser extent, Jar Jar and Leon, tapping into the idiom of London.
All right, cool. All right, see you soon, Sugar Batty.
Did you just call my nan Sugar Batty?
No, she'd hung up by then. Made you smile, though.
Diversity is a gift to drama, and it's a gift because it's a whole new canvas on which to tell stories on. And that's what you need. You need story engines, and there's this glorious, fantastic, whole new world for all these shows to explore. And for the first time, I think we're not running away from that.